Good morning, world. Good evening, world. It's Ivan Amir here again. It is 7 o'clock in the evening. So today's your lucky day. I will make a full video before I take my shower and I get my beer and my smokes. And I'll come back home and I'll watch my show. Like you guys will enjoy my show, obviously. Here's some knows my step parent, my step family are watching NFL football, so you're gonna have to excuse the noise if you hear the loud noise upstairs. So I hope you guys enjoyed my last video where I talked about the usual Zanus, obviously Peter Jackson and the crewman, my Zanus project. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that video, obviously. Yeah. Yeah, so Peter Jackson and McGiston are my two top candidates. And I'll hire Peter Jackson's wife as my assistant producer. You can have Peter Jackson and Fran help out Peter with the business. I won't have her co-write the script with me because I have John Favreau and Filoni helping me. So Peter, I don't need your wife helping me. We have more. We have three. We have three. There's three co-writers. It's more than enough people. You have yourself. You have John Favreau and Filoni who are going to help me. Who are going to help us. That's enough. We don't need any more co-writers. But I'll have Fran be my assistant producer. My movie, I'll pay her a nice $50,000. Because Fran's Peter's wife, right, or partner, and so 300. The money that Peter Jackson's making is her money too, right? Pay her a nice 850 grand to for assistant producer for your movie. That's a good paycheck for her. You pay Barry Oswald 850 grand too to help with my 17 the first year with business calls. So what I'll do is whenever the engineers build my my building, obviously design my computer software, I'm gonna have them have three extra computers in my room. So yeah, you can have Guillermo del Toro be with the. I'll have three extra uh, computers in my office. For Guillermo del Toro, Barry Oswald, and Fran, they can help the 17 with business calls for the movie. That way, everything gets accomplished faster. You know what I'm saying? Huh? And if Fran and Barry get greedy and they want a piece more royalties, my guys, you're not getting a dime of my money. You know what I'm saying? You're my assistant producers. Assistant producers are not worth a piece of your royalties. Yeah, but you're paying Guillermo. Yeah, Guillermo Toro is a pretty big director, and he's my assistant director. Assistant directors are more important than assistant producers. Assistant producers just handle the business. Assistant directors are the ones fucking helping out your director for your movie. You're very important. That's why I'm paying Guillermo Toro more money. Yeah. If Barry Oswald gets greedy and he wants to million, I'm like, Barry, I'm not paying you $1 million. I'll have to watch that for my budget. I'm paying you 850K is good enough. As in Hollywood, you probably make your 400 grand, 500 grand for your fucking movies. Do not let these people dupe you, man. That's my deal for Barry Osborne and Fran. I don't need any more producers. Two's enough. I could hire Philip Boyens if I want. You can have her assist. You can have her as another, but two's enough. I'm not gonna hire three. I'll hire. I'll have some people in the crew help, in the crewmen help them out. My 17, Peter Jackson, and Guillermo Toro and all of them, and the two is more than enough to handle all the business. You know what I'm saying? Huh? Pay them that salary that way Barry Osborne and Fran work hard for you. I'll pay them a nice 150K bonus for the first year to help out my 17. And then the second year, I'll have them flown to Switzerland with Peter and all them, and they're gonna oversee some of the business of the crewmen building the sets. The extras will only take a couple weeks. Building the sets, the costumes, the armors, the weapons, the shooting for the masks, creating all the masks. I'm gonna have the people start creating the masks the second year. You need to give them time because they're gonna be creating thousands of masks. I want you creating all the masks for all the extras too. A lot of work. That's why I have them work on it the second year. That way you give them more time. obviously. Or we give them more time, you know what I'm saying? Do that way you give you give them more time, obviously. Because by 17, even though they can handle all the business, if they have more help, they'll be able to get things done faster. You know what I'm saying? My 17, I won't have them flown to Switzerland the second year. I need them in the office making those calls. Because they're going to have to make a lot of calls for the ad shoots, everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? All shipping all the stuff to Switzerland. It's a lot of work. I'll have my 17 in the office the second year. The third year, I'll have them in Switzerland. But Peter Jackson, I can have them in Switzerland overseeing some of the stuff. With the Pacific crewman flown the second year to oversee. And that's why I need George Lucas with me. I need George Lucas with me, helping me. Why? I need George Lucas helping me plan the 4 years of Zanus. I know he'll tell me all the stuff. Ivan, this is what you need to buy. And he tells me all the stuff and he helps me out when I plan the 4 years with VJ. And then when we do the board meetings, you hand your 17 the sheets so they know. And have George Lucas help you because he knows. George Lucas owned his own company. He knows everything. Yeah, I know the ins and outs. Yeah, I know all the companies that might. I know all the specialized companies that I use for ILM, and and we put all those in the system for the 17. That way it's easy for them. That way everything's easy for Fran and very awesome when they help my 17 with business calls. Comes there. That way my 17 gets things accomplished faster. Comes there. Yeah. So Peter Jackson want to pay him his $85 million in Canadian money, which is a good $106 million in what? In New Zealand money. That's my paycheck that's my deal for Peter. And I'll give him 0.6% of the profits, which is a good $300 million in royalties around there. 300, 280, $270 million in royalties. So Peter Jackson sound like his 370, 380, 390, 400, 430 million deal, 450, perhaps even $450 million deal. You have the New Zealand rates. So Peter makes $300 million in Canadian money. That's like $320 million in New Zealand money. So he made a good $427 million. He signed a massive contract, yeah. And then Mel Gibson, I'm going to pay him $56 million, which is like, I don't know, $44 million in American money. I think he lives in America. I'll give him 0.5% of the profits, which is a good 200, I don't know, $40 million in royalties. Around there. He'll make his good like 180, 170 to like 200 to $220 million in royalties, Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson signed like his 250, 240, $270 million deal around there. Not as big as Peter Jackson's deal, but he still signed a massive contract. Money that he does not make in Hollywood. Mel Gibson probably makes his $20 million for his movies. 20, 10, 15 million, $25 million for direct his movies. And he might negotiate for a piece of the profit sometimes. Mel Gibson used to be worth close to $1 billion, but I heard he owned a bunch of land, and his net worth for his land went down, obviously. So I heard Mel Gibson, he owns a lot of land around the world, like big like properties of land, and his net worth for his land went down, obviously. That's why his net worth went down. He used to be worth like almost $1 billion, $800 million, Mel Gibson. Now he's worth $400 million. Something happened. His net worth went down. Some there. Yeah. So that's my deal for Peter Jackson, Mel Gibson. If the movie does more, I'll pay Peter 0.4. So if 1.5 people buy a movie, I'll pay Peter 0.4. He'll still make his $300 million in royalties, $280 million. And Mel Gibson, I'll pay him 0.3. He'll still make his close to $200 million, $160 million in royalties. That way you keep them in check and they don't rip you off. The last thing you want to do is have, I don't know, 1.5, 1.6 from who buy a movie, obviously. You get Peter 0.6, he ends up taking home like $430 million in royalties, and you made $530 million. That's too much. Keep Peter around that 400, 380, $350 million range. You know what I'm saying? 350 plus million range. Don't go over 400 million. Otherwise, he's ripping you off. You know what I'm saying? Don't go over $400 for the royalties. Keep Peter around that 300 range, 300, 330. That way he doesn't rip you off. You might get mad. Like, Ivan, like, why is this such a big deal to you? The more money I make, the more money you make, the more money I should make. Ivan, I'm like, Peter, if you think I'm going to let you walk away with $400 of my royalties, you're fucking crazy. As if you were in my shoes, you wouldn't even give me a piece of the royalties. So put yourself in my shoes, Peter. If you were in my shoes, you wouldn't, I wouldn't give you a piece of royalties. I'd pay you if that's already yes. I'm nice enough to give you a piece of my royalties. I'm not stupid. I'm not going to let you do it like that and have you take like $400 of my money. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm not fucking stupid. You know what I'm saying? I'm not fucking stupid, obviously. Yeah, but Ivan, he's a big director, yes. Hence why I'm giving him a nice piece of the pie. A nice piece of the pie, obviously. But that's it. He's not getting any more than $300 million in royalties. You think you're going to dupe me and have me pay Peter like $500, $400 in royalties? You're crazy. As the moment you do that, he's now ripping me off, and you're being too generous. I am greedy, but I'm very generous. But I'm not stupid. I'm not going to let Peter Jackson do like that, man, or Mel Gibson, or any of these Hollywood actors. Even though I'm giving the actors a piece of royalties, I'm giving them a small, tiny piece. I'm not. If you guys think I'm gonna give you like 1% of my money, you're crazy. You take home $500 million. You're being way too generous. These actors are ripping you off. They're not worth that. Give them a nice 0.07, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3%. And that's it. Don't go any higher than that. How these actors and how don't dupe you. You have to be careful about these sharks. Obviously. You have to be careful about the sharks. See what I'm saying? Do not let these people dupe you, obviously. Because Peter signed his massive contracts, because I paid Peter his rich, I don't know, $85 million for his salary and bonuses, he'll work really hard for me. That's more money than what he makes in Hollywood. Hollywood Peter probably makes like 25, 30 million for his movies, and negotiates for a piece of the profits. Maybe 50 million for the piece of profits, 100 million if he's lucky. Paying more money than what Hollywood pays him. See what I'm saying? Yeah, sorry about that. Someone was coming downstairs. Yeah. Yeah, man, you gotta be careful about the sharks. Obviously. Hence why Peter will work harder for me or Mel Gibson, because I paid them the rich millions, more than what Hollywood pays them. You know what I'm saying? I paid them more than what Hollywood pays them. Obviously. As Peter made $250 million for Lord of the Rings, I heard. Google said he made 180. The Ian Nathan said he made $250 million. I don't know who's right. My guess is Peter made $180 million for the three movies, and he had merchandising deals with maybe the DVD sales and special edition sales, and maybe he probably had a deal maybe with the games too. Perhaps Peter Jackson probably took a nice piece of the pie for the games. Obviously, he might have taken a nice pie for the games. Obviously, right? Yeah. Because I paid Peter his millions, he'll work harder for me. Obviously. because I paid Peter his millions, he will work harder for me. He will work much harder for me, Peter, than what he even did for Lord of the Rings. Because I paid him more money, and I gave him his freedom. I gave him nice perks. Peter will be staying in suites at a luxury hotel with Fran. Very awesome. I can have Peter stay with Fran, and I can have Guillermo del Toro stay with him in the same room. You can have Peter Jackson, Fran, and Guillermo del Toro. They stay in you rent a room with 2 bedrooms. Obviously, rent. You can have Peter, Guillermo del Toro, and Fran. Obviously, and Barry Osborne stay in the hotel room. Obviously, or I can book a room for I can have them book one room one hotel with one room for Peter and Fran. That way they have the privacy. Obviously, you know what I'm saying. You can have Guillermo del Toro, Barry Osborne, and George Lucas stay in the other room with three bedrooms. Okay, book a hotel with one room for Peter and Fran. That way they have their privacy, they have their alone time together. You know what I'm saying. And you can book another room with three bedrooms for Guillermo del Toro, Barry Osborne, and George Lucas, and another room for the 3 concert artists with 3 bedrooms, John Howe, Alan Lee, and the one who drew Pennywise the Clown. And those guys will all be staying in their suites for my Zanus movie project, the first year. And you have Peter them stay in suites, a nice hotel with a bar, a nice pool, a nice gym. They're gonna work harder for you. They're gonna work double harder for you. They're gonna work really hard for you. They're gonna work really, really hard for you. Really, Ivan? Yes, they're gonna work their asses off for you. When I mean hard, I mean they're really gonna work hard for you, man. Harder than what they even did for Lord of the Rings. Hence why I'll guarantee get a better movie than Lord of the Rings. The crewmen will work harder for me because I paid them the rich 150,000. Lord of the Rings crewmen, and the actors got their millions. They're gonna work hard for me. Hence why I'll get a better movie than even Lord of the Rings. As even though Lord of the Rings is a masterpiece, you had some problems, quite a few problems in the movie. Bad CGI. You had Lars appearing out of nowhere. Why? Because those crewmen got shittier money. They didn't work as hard. Obviously, they worked hard, but chances are they're gonna slack off in some scenes. They're gonna slack off a little bit. If you pay them shitty money, they're gonna work hard for you, but chances are they're gonna slack off. Like having Lars appear out of nowhere, that's a big plot hole in the story. And you got that for Lord of the Rings, man. You didn't see the orcs carrying Lars, and all of a sudden when they approach the walls, you see Lars. You see like 10 Lars appear out of nowhere. I'm like, where the fuck does Lars just appear from the air? Where do they come from, man? It's a huge plot hole of the story. That's what you got for Lord of the Rings, yeah, man. Because why did you got shitty money, yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah. So I'm gonna have this big talk with Peter and Guillermo del Toro. Okay, guys, I want Zane's to be a radar movie. I don't want Airtat to be a PG full-on CGI wolf. Otherwise, if you do that, the movie won't be as good. You need to have Airtat wear a mask and a costume like that. That'll be an animal. That way, he looks natural. The way he looks natural, you know what I'm saying? That way he looks natural. That way he looks natural, you know what I'm saying? You need to do that. That way he looks natural. Peter, I love CGI. I'm gonna apply the CGI technology towards the demonic masks and costumes. That way, the wolves even look more. They look more scary, and they look more natural. So you mix the CGI technology with your practical effects. You mix both. That way, you get the natural look, but you also get your world looks very amazing. The wolves look amazing, but they look more natural. See what I'm saying? As if you have your world look too natural, your movie also won't be as good either. It won't be that good. You need to mix your CGI with your natural world building. That way, your world looks amazing. You get the beautiful fantasy world feel of the north and the south, but it looks natural too at the same time. See what I'm saying? Do that. That way, your world looks natural and amazing at the same time. Peter, I love CGI. I want to mix CGI technology with the natural, with the with the practical effects. That way, your world looks more natural, but it also looks very amazing. Because you don't want your world to look too natural, otherwise your movie won't be as good. No, you need to mix with your physical effects and your CGI technology. That way, your world looks amazing, but looks natural at the same time. You don't want your world to look too computery. You don't want your world to look too natural. Otherwise, the movie won't be as good if it's too natural. No, you need to mix it. Okay, apply the $400 towards these demonic characters, the costumes and masks, and the advanced set building. That way your world looks more amazing. Tell them that they know you. You need your CGI that way your world looks amazing. It's a fantasy world, right? You want your fantasy world to look amazing, obviously. That's why CGI is very important. Alright, now you're going to use blue screen and green screen. I'm going to use blue screen for my scenes. Blue screen. I think blue screen is better than green screen, obviously. I'll ask Peter. Peter, what's better, blue screen or green screen? I don't know, Ivan. Hollywood usually uses green screen. I think you should go with blue screen, Ivan. They use blue screen for Pandora. Yeah, but for Pandora they use blue screen. I'm going to use blue screen for my movie. And yeah, so according to the book, Sean Austin complained about his $2,000 check, and he still worked hard for Peter. His new line told Elijah Wood that he has a crappy agent and that they could have paid him more money, double what he made. That's how you know new line's cheap, obviously. Which for my company, I'm paying all the actors a consistent millions for Zanus. That's why they're all going to work hard for me. They're all going to work hard for me, obviously. They're all going to work hard for me. They're all going to work hard for me. You see what I'm saying? They're all going to work hard for me. They're all going to work hard for me. You see what I'm saying? They're all going to work hard for me. Obviously. I'm going to have that talk with Motor and Peter Jackson. Peter, please, I don't want Airtat to be a full-on CGI wolf character like you did for Azog in Lord of the Rings and in The Hobbit, obviously. The Goblin King, like even remember how you saw the Goblin King and Azog look a little cheesy? Yes, stay away from full-on CGI Airtat and full-on CGI feces. Don't do that. No, have them wear the masks and the costumes, but you apply the special effects CGI towards those costumes. At best, that way they look more natural, but they look very scary. But they look a little more natural, like the orcs in Lord of the Rings. But the orcs, I don't want the prosthetic masks of the orcs war in Lord of the Rings? No. Otherwise, they'll look a little cheesy. No. Or Rings of Power? No. I'm not a fan of that look. Have them, the actors wear a more professional mask like that. That will be an animal. Then we get a better movie. Some singer. That way you get a better movie. Tell Peter that the way he knows, obviously. Yeah, obviously. Tell Peter that way he knows. Okay, Ivan, what do you want Eric to look like? I want Eric to have this clowny look. And he's a wolf. He's a devil looking himself. He looks like Pennywise the Clown. Something like Pennywise the Clown. He has this clowny look. He's a psychotic, masked wolf king in himself. You know what I'm saying? I want Ephesus to look something like that. That'll be an animal and hire the boss of Lord of the Rings. Tell John Howell what they know. And they begin drawing all those pictures. Peter's like, me and VJ show them the pictures that we printed out. This is what I'm thinking of for the demonic beings, Peter. And he's like, holy shit, Ivan. He's like, holy shit, yeah. He's like, Ivan, I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, you're looking at demons, Ivan. Yeah, they look natural, but you're applying a special. Yes, they're going to look more natural, but they're going to look. They're also going to be really horrific, and look very amazing because I'm pouring $400+ million worth of special effects. So I'm mixing in the practical effects with the special effects. Just like you had the Orc High in Lord of the Rings, they applied the special effects towards the orcs, and they look freaky, obviously. Except I'm going to be renting a more professional mask than what those orcs wore in Lord of the Rings. As the masks of the orcs who wore in Lord of the Rings weren't the greatest prosthetic masks, but they still look freaky. Well, think of what? Think of beings 3 times scarier than those beings. The Ringwraiths and the orcs in Lord of the Rings. And Pennywise the Clown, and that'll be an animal. That's what I'm saying, huh? Yeah. And that's why Zanes will be in masterpiece, obviously. Aratat, the king of the south. Ephesus, the king bat of the mountains. The southern kingdom is the animal kingdom, pretty much. Think something similar to the Lion King. Everything the light touches is my kingdom. Yeah, everything from the north, everything from the Blood Valley to the city's edge is Tactius' kingdom. He's a king of the north. And Tactius is a prince of the north. To be king, obviously. Aratat is a king of the south. The southern kingdom, he's a king. The southern kingdom is his territory. He's a king of the south, and Ephesus is the king bat of the mountains. The king bat of the mountains in the south. So the moment you cross the south, you're now in Aratat's territory and Ephesus' territory. Ephesus' territory is the mountain regions, whereas the rest of the south is Aratat's region, obviously. He's a king bat of the mountains. That's why I can't see Peter Jackson when he's topping that kind of story. I saw Two Towers yesterday. Fucking amazing movie, obviously. But it's not as good. It won't be as good as Zanus, man. Zanus will beat it out, man. By a slim margin. Because Zanus is a better story than Lord of the Rings. Trust me, you'll see when I read my book. It's a better story than Lord of the Rings. Whereas Lord of the Rings, J.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings is a drag to read. It's a drag to read, and it's a little what? It's a little boring sometimes when you read it. And people sometimes, I know what you're saying, man. Lord of the Rings is a little boring. Yeah, Lord of the Rings is a little boring to read, man. Whereas my book is not boring. I just went over my book. My youngest brother, obviously, because I edited my book today, and I'm always hooked reading it. It's a fucking masterpiece, man. Little raw in some sections. I don't know, a good 5% of my book is raw. There's some sections of my book when you read it, it's a little raw in some sections, but it's still a masterpiece. I had no help. I had no editor helping me. It's a fucking masterpiece, man. I wrote a masterpiece, man. All the authors were like, holy shit, Ivan wrote this on his own with no help. Like, we all have fucking professional editors helping us, and Ivan wrote it all on his own. He wrote a better book than our book, on all of our books. Yes, my book is better than all those fancy authors' books. I wrote a masterpiece. I wrote a masterpiece. I wrote a masterpiece, guys. Really, Ivan? Yes, I did. I wrote a masterpiece. So good that even all the people in Darcy will be shocked when we write, holy shit, Ivan wrote this book? All the teachers are going to be shocked. Holy shit, Ivan wrote this book. Look at him now. He wrote his book, he made billions for his wife, and now he's funding his own movie. He's a bigger movie star than all these Hollywood actors, yes. Me and VJ are gonna be bigger movie stars than all these Hollywood celebrities. Because we signed a much bigger deal than all these Hollywood. The amount of money these actors make in Hollywood is peanuts compared to how much me and VJ make. Me and VJ signed our massive like $200 million deal, man. $200+ million deal me and VJ signed for the merch in the movie. With the profits, me and VJ signed like our $100 billion deal for Zanus, man. We're gonna make a good like $90, $100 billion. 80, 90, $100 billion off the movies and the merch. 70 to like 80, 90 billion, $90 to $100 billion around the movies you're gonna make. We signed a massive amount, $70 billion deal for it's the biggest contract ever for fucking actor. Because in Hollywood, no actor makes that kind of money. They all make their like $20, $30 million deals. Ivan and VJ signed a massive contract, yeah. That's why none of these actors are not getting any more than 0.3. Because they're not, at the end of the day, they're not worth my royalties. Me and VJ are the main show. They're not. You know what I'm saying? Me and VJ are the main show. They're not. Obviously. Trust me, once Peter Reeves and I book will finally dawn and we were like, holy shit, Ivan wrote this? You were like, holy shit, I see Ivan's point now. If you put $90 million towards this kind of story, you have Ivan act as Tactius, and you have put all this money towards set building, Caution's armor and weapons, the machine for the mask, the extras, you know what I'm saying? The actions, the special effects towards action sequences, world building, and the horror of the demon beings. You're looking at like the best fast movie trilogy ever made. Yeah. We'll take out his Lord of the Rings trilogy. I told you, even though Lord of the Rings is a masterpiece, guys, the movie had problems. There were a lot of problems in the what? In what? There were a lot of problems in the with the special effects. Ivan, what would you say are the flaws in Lord of the Rings? The flaws in Lord of the Rings, I would say, is the special effects. The special effects and some of the editing. Some of the editing was a bit off in Two Towers, obviously. And Return of the King, you know what I'm saying? Some of the editing was a bit off. Obviously. But Peter Jackson still pulled it off. It's a tough book to adapt, obviously. Like the scene that one scene where you see 80 men left, and the next scene you see 10, I'm like, what the fuck happened to all those men? Oh, Ivan, they died. I'm like, okay, well show us how they died. Don't have a scene